two things, God and the Cats.
Well, we are one game down. We have 11 to go. Hopefully, the Bearkats play well enough to earn at least one more game. But either way, the games that are on the schedule right now, we still got plenty of season ahead of us for Sam Houston football. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sam Houston SportsTalk. I'm Colin Neal. And with me today is a sickly Luke Scott. But if there's one thing I know about Luke, he'll never take a day off from doing this unless he absolutely has to. I mean, the man's doing this podcast with a cold, and we all know everyone knows how we men can be when we get a cold. It just feels like we just ran through hell.
Colin, it's more of an annoyance than anything because I know I don't sound great. The people are going to be listening, the millions
And the millions
of people listening, they're going to be like pulling their ears off, or they're bleeding, through them. But, God's toughest battles go to his toughest warriors. And this is just one of those instances where we have to push through for the Cats, hashtag two things. Yeah, got to push through.
Yeah, and the God's toughest battle right now for me is the internet. But thankfully I've persevered through that. It's been a heck of a day. It's been a heck of a week, which means I'm already ready for some Sam Houston football to already be back. And Luke, it's already gonna be back like earlier than usually is normal because they have a Friday night matchup against UNLV Rebels. They got second place last year in the Mountain West. They nearly spoiled the Ashton Genty Boise State Broncos party last year. But they lost a lot of key pieces, especially on the coaching staff. Mainly, the big piece they lost on the coaching staff was Brennan Marion, who was a mastermind behind that electric offense that they had. But he's now moved on to be the head coach at Sacramento State, and now they bring in longtime head coach Dan Mullen, who hadn't coached, and then is like, and he got asked if he wanted to come back and be on the sidelines, and he's now back, the master of one of the greatest masters of the run spread offense. I mean, a lot of people, Luke, I believe this was when Urban Meyer was in Florida and Dan Mullen was there. A lot of people associate that success with Urban Meyer, but the thing is like Dan Mullen was the one that came up with. He was the true mastermind behind it all.
Well, I wouldn't say he was the true. I mean, Urban Meyer definitely, constructed that roster. He was the main recruiter, and
Yeah.
Dan Mullen played a huge part in that offense with Tebow, and I guess Cam Newton was there, but who was the other guy they would come in with Tebow when he was first there? But no, like obviously, like Dan Mullen is one of the great college coaches of the last couple decades at Florida, at Mississippi State, and took a little bit of a break there. Now he's at UNLV, right? So definitely like an intriguing, offseason move there for UNLV. I like Dan Mullen. I was hoping that he would go to another school in the state of Texas that I tend to root for, but he did not. So pretty cool spot for Dan Mullen to be at UNLV. And they've had some pretty good momentum past few years. Like they've been contending in the Mountain West, pretty consistently here for the past 5 years or so. And, now as that head coach. So interesting, and unique challenge for the Cats this week, but also excited to see because I think Sam Houston showed some promise last week, and I think UNLV did not play their best against an FCS team last week. So I think there's a little bit of room to be hopeful.
I kind of wanted to take another step, another look back against Western Kentucky. Luke, you weren't able to be on the recap pod with me that I released literally a few hours ago. I kind of just wanted to head and get that out so that way we can do our part and, go ahead and just put that out there. But just kind of what were your thoughts? Just expand more rather on your thoughts about the loss against Western Kentucky.
Yeah, 41-24. I think a couple of big splash plays helped Sam Houston in the scoring category, like on the scoreboard, and just kind of like what the score looks compared to what it actually was. Um, I think the offense at times, looked really good, and then at times they did not. And I don't think the defense helped out the offense as much as we were hoping because it kind of felt like every time the offense would gain some momentum, a big play would happen for West Kentucky. And I think just the first game being on the road in conference, like that was just such a tough spot to be in for this team for head Coach Longo. Um, yeah, and I just we just were not great on third down. That was kind of the biggest takeaway I have, that everyone kind of seemed to really take notice. Um, being under, I think we were like less than 25% on third down, and they pretty much converted every third down at will. Um, and to be in that game, like in the second half, as we were like leading at one point, um, I think we were thoroughly outplayed. Um, but yeah, we were still in a position there to win. And I think the score is also a little inflated on the West Kentucky side, just because some fourth quarter, scoring, some super long plays. I think Sam, in the past, we haven't seen really give up as much. I know this is a completely different defense, but um, I think there were some promising things to take away. But um, I think it was just a little bit of we just didn't play complementary football like we have in the past few years, and I think that's what really stuck out.
I kind of I realize I've never ever gotten your opinion on this. And Luke, you know me, I want to take in as much information as I want, just to kind of get an understanding of what went down. I like looking at film. You definitely know that. I like doing my research. Uh, I had a bit of a I mean, I've always wanted to get this, but I went ahead and got PFF because I wanted to. I not only wanted to use it for Sam Houston, but I also wanted to use it for my Houston Texans and just other NFL research in general. I'd never really got your opinion on PFF before. What do you think of PFF grades?
Um, I think it's interesting. Obviously, like it's definitely like a little bit more of an analytic way to view things. I think it has its place. I wouldn't say I am like there are people that like the PFF are is their football Bible and they live by it. I wouldn't say I am completely subscribed to it, but I also I like looking at PFF. Like I'm not gonna lie, I will read articles and I will I think I follow all the accounts, the PFF college account, the PFF pro account. Like I'll follow those and um, I like looking at them. I wouldn't say I live by them or I am enamored with it, but I think it's a pretty cool way to grade things. Obviously like they'll grade anything from offensive line tackles on third down, all the way just to, like total QBR. Like they'll find anything to kind of look at, and there's always some miss or some like random stat that like one guy will be tremendous at, and it's kind of always fun to check that out. But I like PFF. I'm not crazy about it, but I also I wouldn't throw it in the trash at all. Like I do look at it.
So, if you were to take a guess on who the best person on offense was for Sam Houston PFF grade, offensive PFF grade wise, who would you guess? Just real quick.
McCaskill,
Yeah,
maybe.
correct. You had McCaskill, who, and for those that are from, just FYI, I don't take these as end all be alls. You have to, of course, I've mentioned it before when I broke down the film and analysis of the West Kentucky game. You kind of just have to have two and two together. It's just I kind of like looking at these, but Luke, I'm looking at this, and it's just the offense was analytically wise. and film wise, they were just not. It was just not good. The Hunter Watson is at 62, which 60 is the average. So it was 62. So yeah, it was all right, I guess. I mean, passing grade was much better than I thought it was going to be at 66.1, which is in the green, which is decent. Surprised the running was below average. Um, but the offensive line, Luke, is all over the place on this, especially in the pass blocking. Colt Dieterich had a 42.8 pass block grade. Rhett Larson had a 35.1 pass block grade. Cam Todd with the best one, 65.5. Luke Eckert, 47.4. And then uh, Joseph with 63.9, the left guard. I mean, offensive grades overall, 53.1 for Joseph, 54 for Eckert, 54.8 for Cam Todd, 59.9 for Rhett Larson, and Colt Dieter 60.6. I mean, analytically and film wise, look, the offensive line wasn't good, but I like to tend to think that it was mainly because that they're just adjusting to a new scheme, but other times they just got flat out beat. But I think now that they have game action under this new scheme and system, it might be an easier time against UNLV, because UNLV has a decent defense. I mean, but there's weaknesses that I saw against Idaho State that we're going to get to in a moment. But Luke, if the Bearcats want to win Friday night, it all starts at the line.
Yeah, it does. That's kind of both ways, right? Offensively and defensively. But offensively, like it has to be better. Like Hunter Watson, and Coach Longo talked about a little bit about him using his legs. Um, at times you kind of want him to step up in the pocket a little bit more, but then other times, he uses his legs like we know it's Hunter Watson. Like he's gonna run. Like that's what he does best. And you got to kind of find that balance. But yeah, no, the offensive line definitely didn't have its best day. This past time out, it's got to be better on third down, especially. I think there was just so many times where we saw Sam Houston fighting behind the chains, and either it was McCaskill, it was whoever it was, having to make a guy miss, near the line of scrimmage or even like behind the line of scrimmage. So I think we just have to be a little bit better um, down the middle. The tackles weren't great. They just weren't. But down the middle, that's kind of where football's evolved a little bit too. Um, you're strong, in that A gap and B gap. You're there, right? So yeah, the O line was just kind of got pushed around a little bit, man. It was pretty frustrating.
Well, maybe some good news for the offensive line as well. The front on the defensive side of things for the Rebels was not particularly as good as I thought when I went back and watched, and then again looking at PFF as well. It was more of their linebackers really that kind of stood out. Mainly a Marcel McDuffie. He had a tremendous game against Idaho State Bengals, and then you have another guy in Amarius Brown, who had a good game. But it's also another thing, Luke, that what was curious is like Michael Phoenix II wasn't suited up, or he was suited up, but he was on the sidelines. So I wonder what was that. I wonder what
He
that
didn't
was.
play.
It, I mean, someone told me that maybe it's the dreaded violation of team rules. Um, when I asked them like what they think about the situation, this is someone that's not related to Sam Houston whatsoever. I was just asking them what they thought because he was not listed on the injury report, but he was suited up on the sidelines and just didn't play. And and it's just I don't know. Hopefully we see more of him. Longo said that we are going to see some Michael Phoenix II, and I hopefully we do. And I think they're probably going to be without Grady O'Neill because he took that nasty hit late in the game. He seems to be doing just fine though, so they're going to really need their wide receivers to step up, especially on the slot side of things, Luke. But the one side of the ball that really got a lot of the criticism though was the defense. what were your quick keys or keys just points about the defense? What did you see?
Yeah, you're right. Definitely was not, our best night. 2 sacks on the night. Um, that was kind of like the only great thing I think we did outside of the scoop and score, which uh, it was Diaz like the highest rated player, Colin.
So in the mount in the so it would be Tokyo Gordon actually, but he only had 19 snaps, so that's kind of not a good sample size. I mean, then again, Tokyo Gordon, he filled in really nicely for Antavius Fish after he was having some minor injury issues. He graded at 82.6, which is almost blue, which is really good. Tyler Bailey was right behind him at 82.1 in 30 snaps. Tyler Bailey, by the way, surprised the heck out of me. But Jameer Diaz, 74.9. He had 5 total pressures. He hit the quarterback 2 times. He made the quarterback hurry 3 times and he also had 3 tackles. He was surprising. Honestly, I was pretty impressed. You highlighted him. I highlighted him in the defensive preview. I didn't think he was going to start just yet, but he might be, quite honestly, one of the bigger players, especially on the front, where they're going to need to pressure the quarterback. I mean, this go around, they're going to be facing more of a run heavy offense, but still, having a guy like Jameer Diaz is a pretty big deal. And he seems like to be adjusting to this level of competition from coming from D2 Glenville State to FBS at Sam Houston.
Yeah, kind of like remember like last year, right? Calling the pass rush, would get after the quarterback and really force some bad throws, and the DBs, were just so disciplined. I would say last year and in this past game. I know it's just the first game, but like the DBs definitely got picked on. Like, I mean, over 400 yards right through the air. Like that's never good. I thought Allen made a couple plays, like you said, like Tyler Bailey. Only like 30 snaps, but uh, made some solid plays. But the back end has to be better, but also like your front end and getting after the quarterback. Just looked like Maverick McIver just was able to just pick his spots really well, whether it was a check down or whether it was going down the sidelines across the middle. Um, just made some really good plays, and we just have to be better. And it's the same thing as the offense on third down. I mean, it's the exact same. I mean, you're at 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3, and just could not find a way to get off the field really outside of that first drive. The first drive, the defense was humming and looked pretty solid, and then after that, it was the opposite. So maybe there was a couple adjustments made there also in the second half for Western Kentucky, but 400 yards against the air, that's never good.
A couple of guys I want to see more, Luke, is I want to see more Jace Arnold. He played 29 snaps, but he had a couple of nice plays. He made that he had that great rep that I highlighted in the film breakdown in that PBU where he just went toe to toe with the receiver and just he legit was like turn around this way and then it literally like happened to snap of the finger turning around and then swatting the ball away. He only played 29 snaps and I want to see more of him, Luke, because I thought he did a really nice job. Up front, Luke is I think Lawton, the West Virginia transfer, I thought he played pretty well, especially in the run game. Antavius Fish, I felt, did a really good job as well, especially on the run defense side of things and tackling. The tackling doesn't seem like a big issue when it comes to this team, Luke, because the team was graded highly in tackling. All besides for a few like outliers that only played a couple of snaps. Um, there's just some guys that I it's weird because they rotated two different defensive groups, it looked like, and then sometimes mix and match, but you kind of understood what they were trying to do. If they're going to do that again, I mean, it's a good idea to keep the defense fresh, But Luke, they really just have to. The main key though is sticking to their assignments and adjusting when they have to, because we saw it a couple times where they were playing like playing coverage or cover three where the corners are going back deep on cover three, but then when they see like a little in route, they bite on it, and then that receiver that's going in their zone, they get right behind them and they're toasted. We saw that a couple times with MacGyver and Henry, and I mean, again, I don't think we're going to see that much like that. We're not going to see that kind of offense against UNLV, but it's just the small things, Luke, that they just really need to iron out.
Yeah, it's also 10 out of 11 are new starters, right? A ton of like new guys in the program, new coaches up and down the sideline. Like there's going to be growing pains. Like we all understand that. We all know or kind of knew what we were getting into the season when it comes to uh, the new schemes and the new faces, uh, from the equipment managers all the way to the graduate transfer seniors, right? To the coaches, everyone's different. So you're right when you talk about discipline, because like last year the defense was just so good at keeping everything in front of them and hardly ever breaking, right? They were so good, and when you needed a big play, they would make it. And this year, like it's hard, you just can't compare it to last year, which is really tough because like that's what we've been doing, or at least what I've been doing the past like few minutes talking. But um, you're right. It's just gonna be one of those things that we have to adjust to. And the one good takeaway, I think we did fairly, pretty well against the run against Western Kentucky. Not that Western Kentucky is a huge, uh, run the ball down your throat type team, but keeping them around 3 yards a carry. Um, we actually outran Western Kentucky. Like you said, like the tackling wasn't that bad. Like the tackling was pretty good. The guys were just open. So
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens Friday night. All right, we're going to take a small break, give Luke a chance to catch his breath a little bit, but when we come back, we're going
gotta breathe.
we're gonna listen in on Phil Longo talk about UNLV. He had this to say as well about Dan Mullen, and we also hear from Dan Mullen as well. And we're gonna take a look a little bit more in depth about UNLV and what they could be bringing to Shell Energy Stadium this Friday night. So stick around, and if you haven't already, be sure you subscribe today to Sammy Sports Talk. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, and also give us a shout on Spotify for the audio version of the podcast. Stick around. This is Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, welcome back to Sam Houston Sports Talk. Calling the That is Luke Scott. Pod 60. Look, man, we're already at Pod 60. If we keep this up, man, we're gonna be at 100 before we know it.
I know. It's gone by. It's gone by really fast. And like I mean, what are we, like a year in? Pretty much a little over a year, and plenty of good moments. We're just trying to rebound off this first year into the second. So pot 60. That's pretty good.
Yeah, when we're at
How many episodes of Behind the Mic do you think we did?
I mean, we did that every week practically. So we did it like, we did it like maybe like over. I feel like we did it like over 50 times. I don't know.
2.5 school years ish.
Once a week.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, once a week.
Yeah. But hey, we can post
more than 50.
We can post as many of these as we want, but then we kind of just run out of things to say pretty damn quickly. So, but
that's true.
Anyway, so I wanted to begin this segment. Phil Longo had some thoughts on UNLV. First, he on this cut, he called UNLV pretty much a tall task, kind of just talking about their physicality and such.
So UNLV is long, and they've got some speed on both sides of the ball. They have some athletes. I think talent-wise they are comparable to what we just played but they're very different than Western Kentucky. You know, these guys they're taller, they're longer across the board, and they're going to be able to close space. You know, when they're tracking you, and just because of their range, you know, they'll squeeze some windows and they'll be a little bit harder to block the struck. So it'll be an athletic challenge, I think, for our football team. It'll be nice to play a semi-home game, right? We still have to travel and go through all the logistics of an away deal, but it's a much shorter travel, so we'll enjoy playing here in our home state, and we'll certainly be amongst our own alum and our fans and all that, being in the middle of Houston. So it's a game where we got to really focus more on ourselves and clean up the things that we did not execute well last week. I think it'll be more about that part of it heading into this UNLV game than it will necessarily what UNLV is doing.
What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, some good comments there. I am also like super interested in to see kind of what the atmosphere is at the new stadium. Colin, you'll be there. Like I'm excited to see it on TV at Shell Energy, which will be interesting. You know, it's only a 1 year deal, but knock on wood.
Yeah.
But interested in seeing that. I thought what Longo said about UNLV is very accurate. You know, it's a different type team than West Kentucky. It's they like to run the ball a lot more. They're going to use multiple quarterbacks running the ball. They're long, they're quick, they're fast on defense. I mean, this is a team that turned over Idaho State. I think it was 4 times. Last game. So I think there's definitely like a cost to be concerned there. If you're the Bearkats, this is a good team. One of the more preseason like kind of a popular pick to make a run at maybe that college football spot, the playoff spot for the G5. I know they didn't play their greatest against Idaho State, but it was also kind of a similar type scenario to Sam Houston with it's a lot of new faces and not a lot of new guys playing for the first time, a lot of first time starters. So um, yeah, fun team, fun matchup to look at, and it should be a good one.
Well, speaking of Idaho State, this was Longo's point of view on that game.
They did. They played very well, and I thought what impressed me the most about their team is they answered the call at crunch time towards the end of the game when they needed it. They made a couple of adjustments on offense, and they did some nice things and did what they had to do to win the game. But the high effort at the end of the game is what really stuck out to me with UNLV, which means they're in good shape. And they had some juice and some energy and something left in the tank at the end of the game, and that's part of what helped them win it all. For us, we did not execute on third down on either side of the football at the level that we want or need to, and that falls back on me. So we have already this morning, and we will continue to this week. We'll do a better job of planning out third down. We've got to do a better job of executing in practice, and you'd like to see that translate Friday night, against UNLV.
Yeah, the Longo kind of added a bit more talking about third downs there. Get to that in just a moment, but it's look at you find out what kind of team you really are when you have to step up, especially in crunch time, like Longo said. And I kind of feel I said WKU was gonna be a close game, but just how the books are making it seem like, because it opened up at a 13.5 spread. Now it's a 9.5, so I wonder if it's gonna go down at the closer we get to it. But these are two teams, Luke, that are trying to figure things out. It doesn't look good initially for UNLV. I mean, yeah, Luke, they got the win, but they were playing behind for a majority of that game. I mean, Idaho State was throwing everything they had at them, and it was working. And they were just throwing haymakers, and they were landing. I mean, fortunate for the Rebels, they were able to come out the win. Like Longo said, they stepped up at the end. But you talk about Sam Houston cleaning some things up. UNLV has to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, completely. And Idaho State is a really good FCS program. Like they've really stepped it up the past couple of years. being in contention in the FCS and out there in the I guess they're in the Big Sky, right?
Yeah,
But
Big Sky. Yeah.
no, I think it's pretty similar to Sam Houston in the fact that like also UNLV was not great on third down, right? Throughout the entire game, and they finally were able to, I think, a little bit out talent the Idaho State in a way in that fourth quarter. I think it'll be much more of an even matchup. When you're looking at from the UNLV side, on Friday. But the Rebels. They did get quite fortunate there later in the game. So no, I think what Longo says is right. One thing that I did notice about UNLV is that they will use multiple quarterbacks, and uh, both can run pretty well. Orgy has a little bit of a time throwing the ball down the field, but he's really fast. He's a Texas boy. He's really quick. And Calandria, I know he didn't play his best, but you know, I, a lot of people have seen like what he can do, and he played pretty solidly at Virginia, and didn't have his best game, but the talent's there. So yeah, UNLV is just, it's just a different type of challenge.
So I was gonna save it till later, but let's go ahead. Because and listen to this cut because Dan Mullen was asked at his presser about the QB situation, and he gave this answer.
I know you're going to get sick of this question, but it is about the quarterbacks. Have you named a starter this week, or
no? Because we haven't done the script, so I don't know what the first play of the game is. I think both guys. I think you see how they feed off of each other with some different skill sets. I think in seeing what they bring to the table of helping us win football games. That you both will play again on Saturday. Maybe they'll both start again. They both started last week, right? Huh? My playbook goes deep now. Maybe you'll see both of them again this week. I don't know. I'm not letting the cat out of the bag just yet, but you're going to see both. We'll see both of them again, because I think so when they have different skill sets, they bring a different dynamic. They make us a more dynamic offense, which I like.
That's just a good old classic Dan Mullen right there. So
That is.
we are going to see both Alex Orgy and Matthew Calandria. So the Freddie Autry Lindsay has quite an interesting task this week. I kind of think I think we are going to see. Well, he just kind of said it. We are going to see both quarterbacks, but I think we're going to see more of Calandria. I feel like after the first game, he's more proven to be, the guy that you can kind of best serve, putting out there, giving you a better chance to win. No disrespect to Orgy, but literally, UNLV had the chance to get off to a good start offensively. Then Orgy just fumbled the football at the goal line after getting hit, which I don't care who you are. You can't be doing that. You can't be fumbling the football when you're right there. I don't, especially if you get hit. You practice that. You gotta finish it off better. But all I'm saying is Longo talked a little bit about Calandria. Not really enough for me to like make a cut of it. But it's an interesting task. It's the defense is going to get tested once again, but hopefully with the test they got against WKU, maybe they can get a better passing grade this go around.
Random, I was blanking on the Florida quarterback back in the day when they won they won their first championship. Chris Leak. I just couldn't remember. Then it just popped in my mind just now. No, yeah, you're totally right. Like, and this is a fun roster that like UNLV also has. They got some 4 and 5 stars up and down the lineup that are just transfers or just never really found their way at their previous schools. Yeah, if Orgy's back there, Cullen, you got to load the box, 7 guys in the box, and make them throw the ball. Like, that's what I would do. Calandria is a little bit more of a threat down the field. But what I did notice is that both used their legs really well against Idaho State. When they needed the gritty yards, they found a way and got them. Sam Houston will be tested on third down again because UNLV is going to run the ball a lot, and there's going to be a lot of third and threes or third and twos, and you're going to have to find a way to get off the field. Last week it was through the air. This week it's going to be through the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 25, 30 rushing attempts, by the third quarter. Like, I just think it'll be that type of game that UNLV is going to want to run and try and take the crowd out of it early. So, going to have to be disciplined, between the tackles. The linebackers are going to have to play really well. Diaz, the front's going to have to, if Fish is able to go, which I think he is able to go, he's going to have to play good. So, it'll be a different type matchup, but also one that I think Sam Houston's a little bit more equipped to go after. I think the DB room, obviously they struggled, but I think the front seven of this team is kind of more of where the strength is rather than the back, of the defense.
One guy that kind of hasn't been mentioned too much, their running back, Jaden Thomas. He had 10 carries, 147 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's for 10 carries. That's pretty freaking good. He stood out to me when I watched that game. He's a guy that I had circled on the guys to look out for. I mean, and the PFF backs it up, Luke. He had an 89.7 run grade as a whole, and he also was pretty decent in the passing game as well. Might not be the best blocker of the running back, but he's a dynamic player. He's been at UNLV. He decided to stay. Last year, he had 164 carries, 918 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's already almost halfway to his rush touchdown total, even after one game. But no matter what, Luke, you're going to have 2 dynamic runners in the backfield, even when you just have one quarterback back there, whether it's Calandria and Origin. The defense is, and so we could see honestly a lot of option runs, maybe some RPOs as well, just to kind of get the defense, to get the Sam Houston defense on, kind of trying to guess basically. But the guys just watch the film and tendencies, like, okay, they're gonna most likely do this, but at the same time, Luke, they're gonna have to be really disciplined, kind of like if you were to face an Air Force in a way, but obviously much more spread out. You got to be disciplined out there.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, comparing it to Air Force. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about that, but in a way, like, the amount of times you're going to run the ball, and it's going to be, they're going to throw different looks at you, while in a similar type formation, like they just will. Jay Thomas, he also had like a huge, I think it was a 70-yard, maybe it was 80-yard, huge run there.
Yeah.
Last time out. And like you said, it also, you can't sleep on the quarterbacks. I keep saying that, but you can't sleep on either one of them running. No, Jaden Thomas is going to be a threat, and he is probably him. Maybe, I don't know, JoJo Earl back in the day. He was a huge, like, Alito 5-star. Didn't work out at Alabama. Now he's at UNLV. He'll be a guy to kind of look out for. Jaden Bradley had a really good game. Receiver. Yeah, they're going to throw some different looks at us. We have to be ready, and like you said, you have to be disciplined. I'm looking for that linebacker crew to really step it up, and kind of take control and take command of, these are my lanes. This is what this front's going to do. When they're stunning this way, I'm gonna be in the right spot. Like, it's going to be one of those type games where you just have to stay ready and have to be disciplined. It's like you said with the Air Force, right? And running the option, if you start getting greedy, that's where they'll kill you. So, make UNLV, win the ball game. Like, that's kind of like one way to put it, I guess. Or I don't know. You just have to play smart against this team.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're not going to throw the football. They are going to throw the football. it's just kind of what Dan Mullen's offense is really about. I mean, you heard him. He has a deep playbook. But Luke, they're gonna have to deal with and kind of. I think they're gonna have a, they're gonna prepare for him, but they have an interesting kind of trope with Hunter Watson, and this was Dan Mullen on the Sam Houston quarterback.
Well, he's a little different style quarterback than what we faced last week. You watch of him. Obviously, had a really long run on quarterback draw. Like he can run the football, but you see a lot of his plays too are the kind of the off schedule plays. His ability to scramble, extend plays, do some of those things. So you got to do a good job of containing him, keeping him in the pocket that way. But he can also hurt you with the quarterback run game, like the actual called quarterback runs, not the extended scramble. So you got to be aware of both of those situations, try to contain him and contain his running ability.
So he didn't really mention anything about the passing, Luke, but the one thing he seems like that they're really focus on is his ability to turn nothing into something. We saw him do that a couple of times against WKU. We've seen it plenty of times over his time here in Sam Houston. And if I think I noted it in the recap pod, I noted it in film breakdown analysis. I mean, the more Watson plays, the more bound he's going to get comfortable in this system and probably start unleashing that arm a little bit more. There's still some questions, no doubt, in my mind, but I'm keen to see how Watson now attacks UNLV after getting the system for the first time under his belt in game action against somebody else rather than the Sam Houston defense.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at it, it's a very similar story to last year where it was, the team was running the ball really well, and Watson was doing his thing, and through the air it was just so inconsistent. It was so up and down. And I remember at the beginning of the year, it was really good. It was high flying. You had guys running all over the sidelines and catching it and taking it to the house. And last night was kind of just more like we saw the midway point last year, which was kind of timid on offense. There was only like a couple ways that we could really get down the field. And like the offense did make some plays through the air. Like, I'm not saying that we absolutely cannot throw the ball, at all. We can, but like Elijah Green had a solid day, but it was Elijah Green, right? Like it was a running back, catching the ball. I don't know if they just if West Kentucky just kind of threw something that Watson just wasn't really ready for. It was, it was hard to throw the ball down the field against this team. Like where was Humphreys? Like where was Quavez? Right? Where was our stretch guy? It was, I don't know, but
Yeah,
running the ball, like, you talked about it, Colin.
I do like the idea though of having guys in the backfield, running backs that can catch the football, because that expands your passing game a little bit more. We saw that I broke it down on the film analysis. You can go back and watch it. I did it on go back and watch the first and third play. They were literally the same thing. Besides like maybe the slot receiver running a slant route instead of going up. But anyway, WKU was so worried about Watson throwing it down to Elijah, it was Alton McCaskill in this case, because of that first play that they got that ran for an easy 15 yards before Elijah Green was touched. They were worried about McCaskill, the running back at that time, but then all of a sudden they left Rayfield Lawton, who was playing outside as a tight end, wide open down the field for a big 36-yard gain. The more guys they can get the football to in the passing game, the more you stretch out that defense, and hopefully, and it may be the least chances that you get of having double teams out there. Like imagine if an Avion Smith Mac gets going and Michael Phoenix II actually gets on the field. What if Quavez starts stepping up? He and Lawton, had both bad drops that killed drives at very bad times.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a if Watson can, distribute the ball, really like improve on that, then you would feel more comfortable with him running the football more and making that decision to run it. It's just he can't be running the football that many times because then it kind of gets like a little bit. I don't think predictable is the right word, but I think you kind of understand where I'm going with it.
No, it does get predictable. Like, and I mean, unless you're Colin Klein back there, who was, an absolute tank for K-State back in the day, or like Blake Bell from Oklahoma, like those type guys, they can take that, that punishment. Watson, like we saw him last year get banged up pretty good a couple times. And if your quarterback's running for, 90 yards a game and getting tackled 15 times, you're right. That's not a recipe that you want cooking. So they're going to have to find a way. The devil's advocate to that, Colin, is when you throw to your running backs that much, that's great, but you're not stretching the ball down the field, nor are you having that extra protection, right? Like usually the running back can be a sixth protector, or some of the seventh if the tight end is, but
Yeah.
you don't have that. But I also think like Longo wants to go quick. He wants to, like a timing type offense. It's go, go, go. We're gonna get moving. We're gonna snap the ball 80 plus times a game. Right. That's what I think what he wants to do. I just don't know if this team is set up for that right now.
So just to keep on going here, you speak of Longo. He actually had this to say about Dan Mullen, and Longo saw Mullen quite a bit when Longo was at Ole Miss, and Mullen was obviously at Mississippi State. This is what Longo had to say about the longtime coach.
Well, I've seen what he does offensively firsthand. He's also he's had some programs like he did at Mississippi State where they were just outstanding on defense as well. I think his teams typically mirror his personality, and so they're tough nosed and they're physical and they're well prepared. And we had two really good battles when I was at Ole Miss playing Mississippi State. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Dan. We don't know each other very well. I think he probably only knows me from Ole Miss, but I know his football. I've studied his stuff, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for how he runs his team as a head coach and what he does offensively. And I know those guys will be well prepared and well coached on Friday night.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell by that how much I mean, the fact that Longo said, "Yeah, I study his stuff." I mean, it's like just kind of tells you what kind of coach Dan Mullen is and how he's seen by other coaches. There's a tremendous amount of respect there, really.
I mean, this was a guy that led Mississippi State right into the top. I mean, they were number one team in the country at one point with Dak Prescott. Love Dak. Anyways, there is like a ton of respect for Dan Mullen out there. Like the fact that he hasn't been a coach for the past couple of years, that he was on TV, right? He was at ESPN. Like that was a shame that he just couldn't find a job. And now he's got a good little gig now at UNLV. So
Oh yeah.
no, it's interesting, like to say the least. I mean, Dan Mullen's a really good coach. Like this is a guy that was, battling Saban, right, in the SEC, quite a bit, right? I just I mean, I understand like Longo saying that he studied his stuff. That's good, but the teams that he has then and now, and the way college football is from now and then, it's just so different, Colin. It really is.
Is that why you think UNLV is like not favored too heavily in this game? Is because of this is the first time because what was his last year of coaching? It was before the portal and stuff, right?
No. I mean, the portal's been around forever. Probably 2021, maybe.
Okay,
Dan
so
Mullen. Let me look.
okay, so maybe when it was still in its infancy, because I wonder if Mullen is trying to figure out just exactly how to get through this 2018 to 2020, 2018 to 2021.
2021, yeah.
Yeah. So he's probably still trying to figure out his way through this new era of college football. But this team is a fun fact, by the way. One of his defensive analysts is Vontez Perfect. I thought that was kind of funny to find out. But he seems like he's got a staff that he likes. He's gotten players that he thinks that can help him in his first year. So I respect Dan Mullen, but hopefully when he comes to Shell Energy Stadium, hopefully it's a win for the Bearcats, Luke. But I mentioned Shell Energy Stadium, and this is what Longo, this is the final cut, by the way, had to say about playing quote unquote at home.
I smile when you say home because we're going through the travel arrangements for this game, much like we did for Western Kentucky. There won't be a flight involved, but we still have to travel and the away hotel and all that stuff. It'll be home from a sense of playing in Houston, playing in front of a lot of Sam Houston alum and football alum. So the crowd will be a home crowd. We won't be any more used to the stadium or the locker room or the way the stadium operates than UNLV will, because this team hasn't played there yet. Our staff has been through there one time just to see what it looked like and try to get some of the logistical things squared away, but it'll be our first experience in that stadium as well. It's going to come down to us just taking care of business on the field. The rest of the logistical stuff is it's excuses. We have to get there, we got to set up, and we got to get locked in, go play football. At the end of the day, it's what you do between the whistles.
Luke, before we head on to the final segment where we do our keys and predictions, it's just going to be so weird seeing Sam Houston play their home games at Shell Energy Stadium. I just have to, it's been pointed out many times, but I kind of wanted to go ahead and just flatly point it out. It's just very strange because every time Sam Houston has gone to Houston to play football, except for one time against Rice in Houston the year before, it's always been NRG. Now it's Shell Energy, and it's for 5 games now. But this is such a great opportunity though for the university and the athletics department to reconnect with there is a connection there, but reconnect more with the alumni. And Longo is pretty loved by the alumni. It seems like I know we love talking ball, but from other perspectives, it's a pretty big deal if Sam Houston can win down there at Shell.
It is. That would be a huge boost for the team, but also like you said, the community seeing. Because how many people do I know, right, from Houston or from north of Houston, from south of Houston, from Katy, everywhere around the area. A ton of people go to Sam Houston. So that being a little bit closer to families, the people just down there, it'll be cool. It is funny how you mentioned all the places that you've seen Sam Houston play in Houston. What's next call in the Astrodome? Are they going to reopen the Astrodome for Sam Houston to go down there?
Sam Houston has actually played at the Astrodome 7 times, but they're 0 for 7 all time at the Astrodome.
For the program, Brian Adams, I believe, played in the Astrodome.
And for history-wise, they've played at Shell Energy Stadium once, and it was 2012, if I remember correctly, from the year, and they beat Texas Southern 50-6. So there's a winning history there for Sam Houston, Luke, but obviously under totally different circumstances now.
That is where Texas Southern plays their home games too. So
yeah,
that's their home stadium.
So, but yeah, a lot of stuff going into this UNLV game for sure. This podcast is running over 50 minutes already. So for y'all's sake, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the final segment where we give our keys, predictions, and some players to look out for, and much more. But we'll wrap things up here on the Sam Houston UNLV preview podcast. I just want to let y'all know that hey, if you can't watch and listen to the podcast on YouTube, how about you go ahead and go to Spotify, and you can find the podcast there. So if you're on a long drive, if you're not one to listen to YouTube on the road, and you have the Spotify app, you can just go ahead and download that if you don't have it already, and go ahead and follow us on Spotify. We're getting a bit of a following there. It's slowly but surely, but even if you don't usually listen to us on Spotify, we greatly appreciate it if you give us a follow over there, and give us a follow everywhere else as well on our social media platforms. We're already nearing 1,100 followers on Twitter/X, just a few weeks after we hit 1,000. And once again, thank you all. We're at 265 subscribers. We were at 237 for the longest time, and we gained 28 in literally the last couple of literally 2.5 weeks. So we greatly appreciate y'all, as always, for supporting what we do here at Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, let's go ahead. Next segment, let's cap it all up. Keys and predictions next here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, welcome back to Sam Houston Sports Talk. We kind of went off the deep end, taking a little bit of a break. If y'all have not checked out the last take, it is like their parody segments are hilarious. You got Skip Bayless, you got Shannon Sharpie, like a Big Perk, and what was it, Stephen A. Smith? What was his name?
Stephen A. Myth.
Stephen A. Smith. Yeah. Oh man, we kind of went off the rails a little bit, but they kind of loosens it up a little bit, because we got a very big matchup once again. Sam Houston against UNLV. Luke, we talked about UNLV a little bit, obviously. You heard Dan Mullen mention it last segment. They're going to be playing two quarterbacks, but Luke, which one are you more concerned about? Like if both guys can have good games, but which one are you more concerned about? Because personally, for me, I'm more worried about Matthew Calandria than Alex Orji.
I'm more worried about Hunter Watson than any of the others. It's definitely Calandria. Orji, I just don't think is a threat to throw the ball down the field. Calandria, we've seen that. He can do that. So both can run, both can orchestrate the offense, I think, at a decent, pace. Or not pace, what's the word? Like they can both do the job, but
yeah.
Calandria is definitely the one to be worried about there.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and kind of get our key players out of the way first. So it seems
Stop it, Colin. Stop it.
I'm about to unleash. Good old. We should get Skip Bayless on. Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp as guests on Sam Houston Sports Talk. I'm sure that would be a heck of a time. But key players. Come on, Skip. We got to get going. Skip. I'm going to say this. Calandria, Jaden Thomas, offensively for UNLV, those are the key players. And sorry, folks, I just kind of accidentally took us off screen for a hot second there if you're watching on YouTube. But either way, we move along. But on the defensive side for UNLV, it's a guy I mentioned earlier, Marcel McDuffie, their Mike. Got to keep an eye on him and see where he is, because if they are going to institute the run and do those RPOs or those read options, Hunter Watson has to do a better job. And he's especially looking where McDuffie is, but also looking out where Chief Borders may be. They have him as a defensive left end, but another guy I would say it is a hell of a name. But I think those are two guys you probably have to look out for on UNLV side when it comes to the defense. I mean, I would point out Quandarius Keys. That's a heck of a name right there too, the left corner. But I think they're gonna go. I think who they're gonna try to attack a bit more is gonna be on the outside, Luke, and that's gonna. I'm going to actually say that because I think they're going to have to attack the boundaries against this UNLV squad, kind of like what Idaho State did to them, especially at the beginning of the game. But Luke, would you agree with that key players list for the Rebels? Or is there someone else you have your eye on?
Yeah, Denver Harris is another guy I want to mention. He's kind of another one of these guys that have kind of bounced around. Highly recruited guy out of North Shore, from Houston. I'm sure he's going to have some guys or some family in the crowd. So I bet you he's going to try to play at his best.
Yeah.
That's a guy I just kind of wanted to mention, being a local guy for UNLV, thinking he's going to try to have a good game. And also, Blessing Alo Tolomotu. I think that's actually a pretty good pronunciation.
I
don't know.
think you got it, man.
Um,
Hey, if I had a bell, I'd give you a ding on that.
Ding. Yeah, the spelling bee. Ding. Actually, no. No, the spelling bee, if it rings, it's wrong, right?
No, it's just that.
Well, he was one of the leading tacklers in the last game. Had a couple pressures. Got in the backfield against Idaho State. So just want to mention.
I gave you some applause there for the pronunciation. You didn't hear it, but I gave you some applause there. Let's now go ahead and name the key players for Sam Houston's side. Luke, I want you to give me two guys on offense and defense who are guys that you think have to step up or be keys.
I'm about to unleash and unload on this. I can't do it. I can't do it. I cannot do the Skip Bayless.
You're too sick right now. You can't do it right now.
At the end of the day, you know it and I know it. It has to be the running back room, Colin. It has to be. No, in all seriousness, Coach Longo has mentioned how he likes the running back room and how deep they were, or how deep it is currently right now. We didn't see much, I would say, a lot of great looks from Elijah Green. They're going to want to get him back up and going. McCaskill, ran pretty good in the last one. They're going to want to see him again. But so I would say McCaskill. And it's interesting because we didn't see Phoenix in the last game. And this was kind of a guy that both of us were pretty high on going to the season. And for some reason, we didn't see him at all. So a little disappointed that we didn't see him, but maybe that's just a guy to circle on offense and see if he can give us something that we were missing, against Western Kentucky. Also, Avion Smith-Mack, a couple catches in the last one. I don't want to write off Quavez just yet because he just we haven't seen what we know Quavez can do like the earlier part of last year. I don't want to write him off yet, but it's starting to get a little annoying.
Give me two guys on defense. And you can name more if you want.
Just two. I'm going to shout out Tyler Bailey.
Okay.
I will shout out Tyler Bailey, friend of the program.
Yeah.
Played very well in the last one.
Oh yeah, he did. He had that big pass breakup where he was going back and he literally saw and he just reacted in time. Like it was a beautiful PBU. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and the other guy I was going to mention, and Colin, you kind of stole my thunder at the very beginning of the podcast, but Tokyo Gordon. Like I wonder, what more we can get and see out of Gordon, coming this game, because I think he earned himself a few more snaps, right? So I think we're going to see him a little bit more. And Longo talked about, maybe it was on offense when we were referencing Phoenix, but how good you practice that week kind of will help determine of how much playing time you're going to get. I think he earned some more playing time on the last time we saw him play.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and give you 4 players for me, and honestly, this is such a basic. This is such basic, but I'm gonna go with Hunter Watson. He has to show that he has improved, that he's getting used to this system, and I think he could be. He's honestly he looked good in practice on Tuesday, in my opinion. I think he's still the guy, but he has to show all of us that how much he's going to be improving, how much he is improving under that offense. I'm gonna give my next key on the offensive side of things. It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna point out Austin Smith. The reason why I point out Austin Smith is because if the offensive line is still going to struggle with the pass block, then I want a guy like Austin Smith back there helping out with the pass protection. 69 grade on the pass blocking according to PFF, and I saw some good things on not just pass blocking, Luke, but also some good run blocking. He had that big block when he pulled from the right side and getting that I believe it was a corner of Western Kentucky. It was on that 50-something yard run by Alton McCaskill. And I think Austin Smith might be a guy to look out for. I think the tight ends in general need this, the tight ends as well might be a big key going into this one. But Luke, you trying to say something? You pointing your shoulders there.
It's my turn. It's my turn. No, good shout. I mean, I think you're dead honest, and I think. Do you think we'll see a different offensive line unit combination coming into this one?
I don't think so, but I if it gets like just bat to a point where it just kind of gets ridiculous, you're gonna have to switch out some guys. Because this is your second team, and I saw this on Tuesday, and we saw it on the depth chart earlier today. Your second left tackle is Grayson Jackson-Smith. Your second left guard is William McCollum. Your second center is, I think it was Isaac Sohn. The depth chart was listed Isaac Sohn as a left tackle.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, but I saw Sohn get more work as a center. Right guard, Kevin Kalanji is the second guy there. And then right tackle, a guy that you pointed out in our offensive preview, Quentin Williams, he's the second right tackle. So keep an eye out for one of those guys to maybe get in there if things get a little too crazy. And hopefully, one guy we failed to mention, Luke, and that's on me, and I probably should have said that cut. Apparently, James Don II is ahead of schedule, and he's listed as questionable for this Friday.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those all-conference guys that, we've talked about. We talked to him a little bit at media day. Healthy James Don is a really good player. It's more than just one guy to fix on this unit. I mean, it was rough. I would have thought. I mean, coming into the season, I thought, okay, the O-line would be solid just because you're returning a lot of guys, but it wasn't. They did not have a good night. On a side note, Colin, I just got the notification the Texas Rangers have put up 20 runs against the Angels.
Well, this isn't Texas Rangers sports talk, Luke.
No, it's not. Thank God.
I'll counter that with what the Astros winning 4-0, and Yordan Alvarez getting his first home run since coming back. So I'll counter with that. I will say though, note for people that are going to the game Friday night, there will be an Astros game going on during that time. So be sure you are careful heading to downtown Houston at Shell Energy Stadium. Plan ahead, and I don't think this should probably be said, Luke, on a sports podcast, but I will say don't go anywhere alone at night in Houston. I will say that. Be sure especially if it's unfamiliar with the area. Be sure you go with a group and stick with the group. If that's gonna be my main advice when you go to Shell Energy Stadium. I'm gonna give two guys now on defense. This is a guy I want to see more of, and that's going to be Wisconsin transfer Jace Arnold. I know people are probably getting a little tired of me saying his name, but I thought Jace Arnold looked really good out there, and I think depending on how he practiced this week, I think he should get some more snaps out there more regularly. Obviously, depends on the matchup and the personnel, But I don't know. I kind of want to see more of him. I thought he played really well against Western Kentucky this past Saturday. And another guy that I really want him to start stepping up is well, I'm gonna say no. Actually, no. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna point him out. I'm gonna say Dylan Frazier has to step up. Luke, he did not have a good game against Western Kentucky. He needs to get better. I mean, I like Lawton a lot, but Lawton can't on the interior. But Lawton can't do it all on his own on the interior, so I think Dylan Frazier is going to have to step up front in order to get pressure on the quarterback. Honorable mentions, I will say. Jameer Diaz, I will say. He might be a big factor. I thought he played a really good game against Western Kentucky, and I think he might be a big factor here as well. I thought Cecil Powell did pretty decent. He might be a guy to look out for. CJ Brown. I would say Antavius Fish, but I think I'm pretty well sold on Antavius Fish. He's pretty reliable, a pretty reliable player. But those are my
it's kind of
keys.
the low-hanging fruit pick,
Yeah.
right? Antavius Fish.
Yeah. So let's now go ahead, Luke. Get our keys to the game. This is tough. This is really tough right here. But I'll go first this time. I'll let you just kind of let you give a bit more thought on it. I'm gonna say my first key to the game is just learn from your mistakes. Learn from Western Kentucky and apply it to UNLV. And secondly, just I'm gonna say secondly, just I think we already talked about it. Yeah, we already did talk about it. Just stay disciplined on the defensive side of things, especially against this Dan Mullen ran offense. And then thirdly, Luke, I think you have to find a way to sustain drives a little bit more. Especially, I mean, I know it's tempo, I know it's quick, so you're not going to have like 10-minute drive. You're not going to have like 8-minute drives, rather, I should say. But let's at least drive down the field, and even if we can't get into field goal range, I want this team to have like actual drives, no more 3-and-outs, and all that. Just try to sustain stuff and try to give your defense a rest.
No, I like that pick, Colin. I mean, that's a good key right there. For me, it's the third down offensive defense, and it kind of goes with like your sustaining drives. I mean, I'd love to see a 15-play drive that ends in a touchdown. I'd love to see that. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I'd love to see it. I think we have to be better up front and on both. Like that's the key of the game for me. I think neither team in their last game played their best on third down. One ended up winning and one ended up losing. But I think that's one thing that both coaches, both Dan Mullen and Phil Longo, are telling their teams and saying, look, if we're not better on third down, we're not going to win this game. And so I think that's kind of the biggest point I want to get over. And it's kind of the low-hanging fruit answer, but to me, that's the most important. I mean, last year, the defense was so good on third down and was able just to get off the field. Are we able to do that this time around, right? Against a team that will just run the ball all over you instead of a team that will throw for 400 yards, right? So it's going to be the same type, opportunity that you have as last game, because I think Sam Houston will be in this game, moderately late. Like, I think if you told me that we were in the lead in the third quarter, I would say, yeah, I would believe you. Like, why wouldn't we be, right? But also, what happened last game happened, right? So we just have to be better on those money downs, Colin. And in the red zone too. The red zone last week, offensively and defensively, just looked a little lackluster.
Yeah, especially late in that game. Like, I mean, that touchdown probably wouldn't really do much because you're down 3 scores with 2 minutes left. But it was a really good play that they ran out of that 2-minute timeout. I mean, I don't know if you saw
Bearkats.
I'm sorry?
Sam Houston.
Yeah, Sam Houston. Like they ran a great play. I don't know if you saw it on the film analysis and breakdown. I mean, if you haven't, go check it out because I thought they ran a great play. Austin Smith was wide open in the end zone, but what happened? There was the offensive line just didn't execute properly, and the pass blocking in general was not good, and that ended up a sack of Hunter Watson that bounced him past the 10-yard line. And I think this Longo offense has so much potential. Everything just needs to be at least there just has to be competence in order for those things to happen. Again,
20% better. 20% better.
Yeah, if it was 20% better, I think this offense shows what they can do, and it opens up a little bit more of the playbook and options and ways to go. So, but yeah, Luke, let's go ahead and just wrap it up real quick because this pod is getting long and it is getting late. I know you have to I know you gotta get going, head to good old bed time. Yeah, you still gotta, us adults. So we hated bedtimes as kids, but as adults now we kind of have to give ourselves a bedtime.
We kind of like it. I kind of like having a bedtime.
Yeah. Well, give me your predictions. What are your predictions right now on Wednesday nights, 9:46 p.m. Central Time?
Calling the last one, I went against Sam Houston and was correct, sadly. I'm going against Sam Houston again.
Ooh. What's the score? You think Sam Houston covers or goes against the spread at least? Or covers would be the right one.
20-33.
Okay. Well, just like last week, I'm going with the Bearkats again just to counter you because I'm just going to counter it every time, Luke. I'm going to say give me Sam Houston. Let's say Sam Houston 30. 30s. 37-31.
High scoring. Okay.
Let me give it that. Hopefully not as many points on the UNLV side, but judging how there's still some growing pains to go through, I'm going to go with that. Just for the hell of it. So, but anyway, Luke, that does it for this preview pod. Once again, guys, if if you are not able to go out to the Shell Energy Stadium, it's going to be on CBS Sports Network, and you can listen to the audio only podcast. Carlos Zimmerman and Brian Adams on the call, good friends of the program, on the Bearcat Sports Network and on the Bearcat Sports app as well. You can download it and listen in on the audio call there. Gonna be an interesting game. It's gonna be an 8:30 p.m. game. If I remember correctly, there's only when Sam Houston kicks off Friday, there's going to be believe there's only going to be one other game going on. So Luke, this could be a game where Sam Houston gets more of the spotlight. Yeah, so because you have Georgia Tech and Colorado, that Georgia Tech Colorado could be a really good game, or it could be honestly a blowout because Caden Salter got named as the Colorado starting quarterback.
Georgia Tech's going to win that one.
Yeah, probably. Colorado 4.5-point dogs. I feel like it's kind of close, but anyway. Then Sam Houston's at 8:30. Then you have Central Michigan and San Jose State at 9:30. So Sam Houston might be the only college football game going on at some point. And then it's at least going to be one of two college football games going on. So Sam Houston probably going to get some more spotlight there. And I think there's going to be a lot more people tuning into this one than last week because UNLV is a pretty recognizable brand to say the least, especially for a Group of 5 school.
Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah, and and where the greatest basketball player ever came from, Anthony Bennett, and NBA 2K14 Cleveland Cavaliers legend. That'll do it for us here. That's Luke Scott. Appreciate Luke for powering through this cold he's going through. I'm Colin Neal. Thank you all once again for tuning in. Once again, if you haven't already, give us a subscribe, like, Follow us on everything. We are only just a game into this football season. Before you know it, volleyball season will kick off. If you haven't checked out the preview in the last pod, it's up. It's already up and running. So this team might be pretty damn good. And I checked to make sure this time that there's not a clip that was muted during this podcast, because it happened for literally the first clip of the volleyball preview. But we're not going to talk about that anyway, guys. If y'all are going to the game, be safe, have fun, but most importantly, be safe. And hopefully the Cats come out with a victory against the Rebels at Shell Energy Stadium this Friday. As always, eat 'em up, Cats. And as always, two things.
Bearkats.